Hey, what up YouTube? DW Blue Videos back with another video that I promised about the Team Losi Mini Bs. Here we've got mine, and here we got my daughter's. She just got hers for Christmas. By the way, I want to say thank you to my new subscribers, and thank you to my existing subscribers who have stayed with me and my channel. And happy holidays and everything else. So let's dive right into this. I want to make this video kind of quick, and so I can get on to the next video I want to make, which will be probably another quick one. But all right, let's get started here. Okay, her Losi Mini B is relatively stock. Let me move mine out of the way. Oop, now I'm knocking stuff over. All right, her Losi Mini B is primarily stock, except for two things I did add to it. I did add the, well, here I'll pop the clip and we'll pull the body. Once you've seen one, you've pretty much seen them all on the outside, right? Alright, what you got here is I did add the hot racing motor plate and the MIP CVDs for the Mini T 2.0. I would have to say those would be the very first two upgrades I would do to any Mini B right out of the gate. And reason being is because what happens is that if a turnbuckle here on the rear pops off in a crash, well then guess what? These guys tend to eject themselves out, and if your track is a black carpet and a good size one, good luck finding it. You might, but it might be a little harder to find. The next thing is, like I said, the motor plate, and the reason being is because this right here is part of your issue. Stock out of the box, the gear mesh is pretty tight. It's not super tight, but it's too tight for my liking. And because you've only got the three screws holes, you know, one for each, one for the top, one for the bottom of the motor, you can't adjust the mesh. You can adjust pinion size, three different pinions, but you can't adjust the mesh. So what the adjustable plate does is it does allow you to adjust the mesh properly. So now the car will roll freely like it's supposed to. That would be the first two mods I would make to this car, hands down. The transmitter for the car, here it is. It's a pretty basic small transmitter. For my daughter, I mean, she's only 7 years old. So, I mean, for this size transmitter, it's good for a kid. You know, fits in their hand pretty well and all that good stuff. So, as far as it goes, that's the only mods to this car, and that's the only thing we're going to do to it right now, until we see how my daughter drives and whatnot, and maybe we'll go from there. And I'll move over to mine now. Mine here, as you can see on the outside, I've got the aluminum shocks. As far as the overall difference between the aluminum and the plastic, they are the same size. The only difference in them is the aluminum shocks are for the Mini T, so the springs are a little longer to accommodate it because it's a truck. That's no big deal. You can put the buggy springs off of the plastic shocks on these and they will work just the same. Same upgrades on mine. I did put in the MIP CVDs on the car. Let's pull the body and I'll show you more. I did do more upgrades to this. A little tight coming off, but there we go. Okay, so the first mod I did was the front aluminum bulkhead or suspension mount on the car. Yeah, I know you see that, don't you? I'll tell you more about that in a couple minutes here. I did add the aluminum servo mounts. I was at the hobby shop and I saw them and I was like, what the hey. I don't think I'd spend the money on these again, just because the plastic ones really do the job well, and these are kind of pricey for what they do. But I mean, hey, to each their own. I did put the steering rack in, the aluminum steering rack, and that does help with the steering slop, as well as putting a zip tie around your servo saver. That really helped, I mean, take a lot of the slop out of the steering. I mean, compared to my daughter's, I mean, see how much slop that is? And then we'll turn mine around and see. I mean, it does take out about half of that slop. Another thing too in the steering rack, and obviously I'm not going to be able to show it, but you can, they use plastic spacers or plastic bushings in the rack. You can put bearings in there. I think they're 2.5 something or other. Hell, I can't remember now. I'm sure all you got to do is search for it. I know on one of my Losi Mini B groups on Facebook, we put up a thing about the bearings. You can put bearings in the rack. But yeah, so anyway, you can ball bearing the rack. I did put again, a hot racing motor plate in. I did put the Dynamite 2-in-1 motor ESC 6000 kV. That's a bolt up fit. I did put a Spectrum receiver in here, but I'm going to change that out to Futaba. There's a reason behind that. Not a bad reason. Spectrum stuff works all right. But I think I'm going to put my Futaba in here because I got plans for this receiver at the moment. I did check out the battery. I bought another one just for the giggles of it. 860 milliamp 25C 2-cell LiPo, and I did drive this a little bit, and it does go pretty well with that. And lastly, I did, and of course I'd have to remove this cover, but I'm not about to because, for the sake of the video, I did put the MIP top shaft, slipper plates, and idler gear in this car, as well as I did manage to find an original Losi Mini T ball diff. Whereas, and as far as it goes, to drop and fit, I can't remember if I had to shim it. I don't think I had to shim it. But I think there was a shim or two that came stock in the car from the open gear diff. And supposedly people who have been running these things for a little longer than I have been saying that the ball diff makes a world of difference. See, on my daughter's car here, it's an open diff, and it's just grease filled. That's it. There's no way of sealing it. You can't put a real thick fluid on it because it's just going to sling it around, and next thing you know, it's going to be all over inside the trans and maybe on the other gears. So MIP, from what I understand, is supposed to be making a ball diff for these. I heard they're supposed to release it on the 20th of this month. Well, the 20th is here and gone, and have not seen anything about that. So as it stands right now, we're kind of sitting in limbo to see what MIP is going to do. I'm really hoping they do release the ball diff for these cars, because it'll be a huge improvement. You can get rid of that stupid open diff, and the car will just drive better. Lastly, we'll talk about those chassis protectors here. And as you can see, that one and that one there, they match the paint scheme of the car. Now, where I got those from is a company called Max Custom Design and Prints, and he has a website. It's www.macscdp.com, and that's where I picked those up from. He also does shock protectors and things like that. So if you're looking for a chassis protector for your car, your Mini B, that is where I got them from. And I figured, cool, and they do make them. He does have them in all the paint schemes for the Mini B. He does have them in the yellow, he does have them in the blue, and he does have them in the black. I believe he's out of Texas, and he does ship, I think, priority mail. So right now, if you're trying to get something, it's probably going to take a little time to get it. But anyway, that's that with the Mini B 2.0. Or Mini B, I'm sorry. So hopefully, this information, or this video, was informative. As far as the brushless system goes, 6,000 kV is good, gets this car really going. I would say, if anything, that's probably the best fit for this car. The Hobby Wing does have two systems as well, a 5,200 kV and a 7,800 kV system. The only reason I didn't go for that is because you do have a separate ESC, which is a nice, having separate from the motor, but it clutters up this area right here, and it just makes it look a little cluttered, and I kind of wanted a cleaner install. And to be honest, 7800 kV is going to be a bit too fast, especially if you're going to play on a track. I think that the 5200 or 6000 is probably your best bet, but I like the Dynamite setup. But it is expensive. You're talking about 65, 70 bucks versus the Hobby Wing setup's like about 40. So I mean, you know, six of one, half dozen of another, right? So anyway, that's going to conclude my video on the Mini B. If you're interested in buying one, I would say definitely get one. Yeah, they're great cars. Great car. I you know, small in size, and you can take these things. If you got a good sized basement, you can set up a track and run them down there. Or if your local hobby shop's got a carpet track, definitely take them out there. They're a blast. I would highly recommend, if you're in the market for a 1/14 scale buggy. Yeah, I would not turn these down. These are great little cars. So, all right, YouTube. Thank you very much. Happy holidays, and again, we'll see you on the next video. Later.